Over the past 5 months, I've seen report after report that one family or another is getting forced from their home. And after looking into this, more and more Americans are being forced out of their lifelong homes. And it's mainly because of rent. Here's what's happening. Rents are skyrocketing and many Americans cannot afford the new rents. Just in the past year, rents have increased by 16.3%. Now, from month over month, from February to March, we've seen rents increase by 0.9%. That is a projected yearly increase of 10.8%. So, just to run some math by you, if you had a $2,000 per month apartment, and that's what you were renting back in March of 2020, or actually 2021, okay, you've been paying $2,000. Well, fast forward to March 2022, you would now be paying $2,326. Now, let's just assume that we do continue to see rents increase, which everybody expects they will. They will increase by about 10.8%. So, your new rent at the end of 2022 would be $2,577. That's an increase of $577 in about 2 years. That's insane. Okay? One of the issues that we're facing right now, there's a housing shortage. And with a housing shortage, this is causing rents to jump. Not only that, okay, but this is really impacting lower income communities. Just to give you an idea of what we're seeing across the country though, in Miami, we have seen rents increase over the past 2 years by about 58%. In Richmond, Virginia, about 30%. Phoenix, Arizona is up 29%. Las Vegas is up 35%. And Riverside, California is up 48% in the past 2 years. Now, one of the things that we've seen recently is rising property taxes and mortgage rates are causing landlords to hike up the price on their end. Here's the problem. Property taxes aren't going to come down. They're only going to go up. Okay? That's an issue. And the landlord is not going to pay the property taxes. They're going to push that money over to you, the renter. So you are going to have to pay for their property taxes. In addition to that, mortgage rates are going up. Here's what's happening. And you probably have seen stories of one family is having to pay 100% of their previous mortgage or their previous rent went up 100%. So instead of $1,500, they're paying $3,000. Or you probably heard the story of how one renter, I believe in California, instead of paying $2,500, they're getting their rents increased to $4,000 in the matter of 1 month. And the reason for this is actually pretty simple. Landlords will go and refinance their property. They'll go and buy something else, and they need more money. Well, what do? They jack up their rates to be able to afford that new property. They jack up their rates to be able to have you, the renter, pay for that current property, which they just went to get a HELOC on, or they refinanced, and now they're pushing that pretty much the rate increase over to you. Now, some people are going to say this is price gouging. It's a tough way to do business, but in most states, there's no rent control. There's nothing. There's nothing that says a landlord cannot just jack up your rates, 200%. They can do that if they want to. That's the problem. Landlords are doing that. And as we're seeing utilities rise, this is causing some to not be able to afford their rents, right? Some landlords will pay for your utilities. And as they go up, you think the landlord just pays 100% of the utilities? No. They want you to pay, 120, 150% of the utility bill so that they're making some money on top of that. That's what they're doing. So, as utilities go up, just understand, if your landlord is paying for all the utilities that you use, chances are you're overpaying for those because it's included into the price. Now, here's something else you need to keep in mind. Food and gas is increasing in price as well. Now, this means that millions and millions of Americans can't afford what they are used to buying. They have less buying power. So let's look at this from the landlord's point of view. The landlord's food and their gas is increasing, so what do? If that's all they do is they're a landlord, they're an investor, right? They're in real estate. What do? They raise rates. They raise their rents to be able to afford how much food has gone up, how much gas has gone up, how much maybe their personal residence has gone up in price. They're pushing that over to you. So here's what experts are saying. Experts say that with rising inflation and increased demand, this crisis is only going to get worse before it gets better. So how do you deal with this? Well, according to multiple experts, they say the first thing you need to do, and this is something that I told you guys to do last year, I told you guys to do this about 2 years ago as well, is to lock in your rent. Okay, lock it in. Make sure you have a 1-2 year lease. Lock it in to make sure your landlord cannot, under any circumstances, raise your rent. If you lock it in for 2 years, which some landlords will do that just to have that guarantee and that certainty that you will be in there for 2 years, some are going to be okay with that. Others are going to say, no, I can't do that because I don't know where the market's going. But lock it in. That's the first thing that experts say to do, is lock in your rent. The next thing that experts say is to cut back on other expenses, because let's be honest, can you afford a 100% increase? In most cases, no. Can you afford a 25% increase? So let's say your rent goes from $2,000 to $2,500. Could you afford that? In most cases, no. The majority of Americans, about 60% of Americans, I think it's like 67% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, which means if they were to get a notice in the mail that says, hey, next month your rent is going up 25%, chances are they would have to move. But that's the issue. Americans aren't being asked to move out of their homes. They're being forced out with really no option. The options they have: live in your car, which is technically homeless, go and live with somebody else, which technically is still homeless because it's not necessarily your home, but you're living in a house. Those are their options. Or pay the rising rents. Now, things are not going to get better. So one thing I can tell you right now, just a little warning. If you think rents are going to come down, they are not. The expectation is the housing market will cool. That's fine. That's healthy. But here's the problem. Rents have not caught up to where the housing market is currently at. So if you think rents are going to come down as housing actually decreases, it's not expected to happen. Okay, it will not happen because rents are still going up. Even though the housing market has been hot for some time, rents have been lagging. So keep that in mind, because your rent, even though your landlord may be raising rents right now, just understand we may see the highest rents next year in 2023, not this year in 2022. So if that tells you anything, it's a little bit scary, but that's also probably a good sign that if you can, lock in your rates. Okay, lock it in. Get a 2-year lease if you can. And again, talk to a real estate expert if you're not sure. I'm not a real estate expert. I'm not trying to give you financial advice. I'm just trying to tell you, hey, this is a serious situation. It's a major crisis, and many people are not going to be able to make it through this. So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. If you have any question regarding the housing shortage, rent increases, or anything regarding real estate, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.